Trump meets Putin in Alaska, flies a B-2 bomber over his head. Trump and Zelensky meet with European leaders in the White House, and Zelensky wore a suit. Marine Le Pen is coming in hot on radical Islamists. Black conservatives collide with a black radical on Jubilee. French streamer dies in his sleep after physical abuse during a marathon stream. Mr. Beast raises $12 million for charity and gets called evil. Man's wife stops having sex with him, so he stops doing anything nice for her. You guys are not gonna wanna miss today. Buckle up, let's get to it.
Let's jump right into it because I really want to talk about Ukraine, Russia. So there's been a lot of things happening. Trump brought Zelensky and the European leaders in most recently, but last week Putin came in from Alaska. I thought that was funny. We talked about that yesterday.
You said you thought he threatened him.
Okay. Trump is flexing on Putin.
Yes.
As soon as you walk out the plane, I fly over you with a whole bunch of bombers on land that was yours that I got for a discount because you were broke. So I feel like he was slapping him in the face, but you had a different take on it.
Here's the thing. I didn't see it as a threat. That's for sure. However, I do think if you listen to what Scott Bessent said about this, Scott Bessent was like, oh, he was trying to flex on him. He was trying to remind him like, hey, we've got all these toys. So your read isn't crazy. I think the overall way that people are looking at this, if people think that Putin is going to be intimidated by that, they're out of their minds. It's like if you're walking into my house and I have an arsenal with bazookas, AK-47s, Glocks, like literally gun on gun on gun. And then you walk in and show me that you've got a really nice sword collection. Now, I know you also have a whole bunch of guns, but you're trying to flex on me with a sword? It's like, what? Dude, we have mutually assured global destruction aimed at each other with dead hand triggers.
Like if they announce yours are not bombs, mine's going off.
Bro,
like,
this is like,
detonation.
look, if you're going to do that flex on Paraguay, okay, but doing it on Russia, this is all political theater from top to bottom. If Trump had said, listen, we're going to lift all the sanctions off of Russia. They're having a really hard time right now. Like this is an economic game. We want to get these guys back into a good position. I can see how we're going to end this thing. It's going to be fantastic. I'd be like, interesting. If Putin is signaling that economically, like, look, I'm really tired of this. This is becoming a problem. I see an off-ramp. I would buy that maybe we were making progress. But when you start talking, the thing that's getting Zelensky excited and bringing him to the table is that we're going to have some kind of Article 5-like guarantee. Now, for people that don't know what Article 5 is, admittedly, it's very broad, but it says we will, if somebody attacks one of the members that has this protection, we will respond as we deem fit. We could come in and like fucking drop troops on the ground, and now this is really on. We could drop nuclear weapons, whatever or we could send a strongly worded letter to the manager. Like all of the above. It is the toothiest part of the reason to be in NATO. That's why you want to be in NATO. It's like my brothers are going to come and whoop your ass if you do anything untoward. And that's why I want to be a part of NATO. And so they're saying, okay, look, we're never going to let them into NATO, but we're still going to roll up as the brothers and like kick the shit out of anybody that messes with them. That is the thing that he has a problem with. Putin, he does not have a problem with NATO as letters. So it's like, if it is NATO in practice, but just not in name, he is still going to be like, no. And so given that Putin's like cabinet, I don't remember who the exact people are, but there are people that are out there saying, yeah, we're never going to agree to this. Putin is completely silent. Only Trump and Zelensky are like, yay, we're getting closer. Dude, he keeps saying that. So I think that Trump really wants it to be true. I am very glad that Trump legitimately seems to be pursuing peace. I don't know if it'll come up later, but I love that Trump believes that this is his way to get into heaven. This is why religion is so useful. People will stop bad behavior and do good things because they believe that there is an all-seeing eye in the sky that will punish you for all of eternity if you do the wrong thing. So I've got no beef. If Trump is trying to end this war simply as a way to get into heaven, yeah, I'm here for it. The bad news is I don't think Putin is interested in ending the war as a way to get into heaven. So I don't understand. Realpolitik, people. Realpolitik. Putin is going to keep pushing until he reaches sufficient force that will push back. He's not going to go, oh, yeah, I'm going to back out of my territorial ambitions, my desire to create this buffer zone of NATO because you guys are going to give him NATO protections without the name NATO on it. I'm not sure how people are mapping this. This is hopium. People want it to be true. I want it to be true. Rough numbers. We've lost over 1 million human souls. Brutal.
Dead though. Like,
Brutal.
shouldn't that impact the leader of the country? Like, but a lot of young boys are dying.
The person you have to impact is Putin. So when you look at Russia's history, and this is where people need to understand culture matters a lot. Russia will cram as many people as they need to into the maws of death and destruction to make sure that they protect Mother Russia, period. And they've done it over and over and over. It is a thing for them. And that's where we're at. Like, yeah, they're losing people. They are prepared to lose a lot more. So says history. And if you don't make this good for them in some way, I don't see why they would ever agree to this. So what would Putin want to do to get his way? He wants to forestall, as long as humanly possible, deeper intervention on behalf of the US and Europe. So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to show up to the meetings. You're going to have to be friendly. You're going to have to hint towards positive things. You're going to have to lay the flowers on the soldiers that died when America and Russia were allies. Somebody just explain to me, what does he get out of this? Mm-hmm. And if people think that like, oh my God, they're just so broken, look at how much oil India is now buying from Russia. Like gobs and gobs and gobs. It went from like 1% to like 42%. And India's arbitraging it. They're just reselling it on the market, and they've made some untold number of billions of dollars just doing that arbitrage. So Russia's like, yeah, much like Nick Fuentes, we have found a way to make money despite all of your sanctions. Once the
Russia's the Nick Fuentes of the world.
They are the super bacteria that if you don't kill all the way, like they will only get stronger. They become resistant. Russia is now sanction resistant. And so maybe if you had done all of these sanctions right out of the gate, you could have stopped them, but piecemealing it. And I've heard Trump like making noises to that effect. It's like, or maybe it was Bessent, but one of them was like, yeah, it takes a while for sanctions. Oh, in fact, it was Marco Rubio. What am I saying? That it takes a while for sanctions to like really have bite. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know that we're going to get anywhere with that.
So that probably explains this clip that Charlie Kirk retweeted that talked about that Putin said that if Trump were president in 2022, there would have never been a war.
I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that.
So are you just saying he's just doing this to Trump's ego? He's just trying to buy time?
Man, that is a really good question, because there's no way that he's unaware that that is like the thing that he could say to Trump that would be, I mean, this is like tickling his G-spot. Like, this is wild. This is exactly what he wants to hear.
Scribbling this in a notebook later, like Putin said.
Yeah, in hearts. Yeah. So that feels like a give. That feels like him mapping Trump relatively well of like, okay, I know what this guy wants to hear. You caught Trump on a hot mic. I don't think it was a big deal, because this is exactly the kind of thing that he would say on knowing that he's being recorded to the world. But he was like, he wants to do it for me. Mm-hmm. Like, he wants to end the war for me. Like, that admittedly, yeah, right? That admittedly is a pretty wild thing to say. Like, he wants to stop killing people for me. No, like, if he's not encountering, if he thinks that you represent the sufficient force that's going to stop him, okay, like, I guess you could say that's for you, but it's really just about, I'm not going to get what I want by pushing into this. This is going to make things worse for me, so I'm going to back off. He's not going to do it for him. That's absurd. So It just becomes a question of what's the like leverage that I'm going to get. And so if he's buttering Trump up, great, smart tactic, exactly what I would advise anybody to do. I mean, this is 48 laws of power stuff. So my guess is that's all this, that the official words coming out of the Kremlin are like, well, this is going to take time and we're going to have to like slowly figure this out. But, you know, we do want to see if over time, slowly, like we can find a path to be. It's like, oh my God. So a lot of word salad stuff, a lot of buy time stuff, which is, again, in keeping with if you remove all the emotion and you don't listen to what people do, but instead you just look for the pattern in all of this is say the right thing, buy time, keep bombing.
Say the right thing, buy time, keep bombing.
Yeah,
that's dark.
That's their pattern.
So there's a couple people
true.
in chat that are saying that you're misrepresenting the planes, and it was a salute which has been done throughout history. Any thoughts on that?
Hold on. Do a search for Besant, who literally, a member of the cabinet, saying this was a flex. He was trying, like Besant's words were almost all the way to Drew's position of this was a threat. Now, he was saying it like a little bit tongue in cheek, but if you type in, I've got to imagine Besant flyover, something like that, that you'll get this. So anyway, I love you guys, but don't be ridiculous.
Here it is.
I want to set the record straight on what went on in Alaska. Alaska was a show of force by President Trump. He invited President Putin to land that the Russians used to own. He displayed a huge amount of military hardware and then did a flyover. It was kind of like inviting your uncontrollable neighbor to your house and showing him your gun case. So then...
The bad news is your neighbor has an equally large gun case. But yeah, look, this was a flex for sure. This was a show of force. I don't think it goes all the way to threat. I don't think Trump is that dumb. But it is certainly, he's trying to flex on you, man. That's just all there is to it.
Okay, over and under, the war ends before the end of the year. Like next 6 months.
Not going to happen.
Up.
No way.
0%.
Nope. 0.
Got it. Well, we'll see. We shall see. All right, let's jump over to France.
Let's talk about this.
Marie Le Pen was talking
about this. All right,
spicy. I got the perfect moment.
Okay, this is Marie Le Pen. For people that don't know, she is the leader currently of the far-right party in France. I'm telling you, this is a sign of things to come. I do not know what people were thinking when they threw the borders open, man. All right, we're going to talk about values, but we're going to read for you just in case you're not in front of your phone because she's going to be speaking in French. We will translate, but this, get ready.
Boom. Radical mosques will be shut down. Hate preachers expelled. The associations fused with Salafism and the Muslim Brotherhood will be dissolved. With me.
She wants to be elected president.
Be sure that the rights of women today challenged by the Islamist obscurantism will be granted to all the women of France. With me, the security will not go against liberty in any case, not against the liberty of honest people.
At the beginning of this speech, she also talks about stripping French citizenship from Islamists. Mm-hmm. Now, she uses the word Islamist, so I'll choose to believe that she means extremists. Mm-hmm. So stripping their French citizenship, expelling them from the country, and punishing even people of French nationality if they have... She doesn't say aid and abet the enemy, but like that's the vibe. Mm-hmm. I forget the exact word she used. Forgive me, because she did not say that exact phrase. So she is supposedly, if the polls can be believed, she has 42% over people. I believe it's voter intention over Macron's party, but the election doesn't happen until 2027. She has been convicted already of, she's appealing a crime.
Oh, that was that. I remember that.
Story, of embezzlement. Yeah. And so she's appealing it. But if she loses that, then she will be unable to run for office, which she herself has said would be political death. And obviously she's saying that this is a political attack, that it isn't, the courts admit she wasn't personally enriched by the supposed embezzlement. So, which is usually, I think in the US, like you have to show that the person was personally enriched for it to be a crime. I think someone would have to fact check me on that one. I don't feel confident in that. But anyway, the court system admitted that she wasn't personally enriched by it. She denies that there was any wrongdoing whatsoever. She's fighting it. And so we'll see. But the thing to focus on here is this is also what you're seeing play out in the UK. And I am literally shocked that people did not realize people will fight and die for their values. Values are the thing that people fight and die for. And if you thought you could import a ton of people that have different values and that the people holding the opposing views won't eventually clap back just as hard, like you put yourself in a position where you have two sides that will kill and die for their values. Israel, Palestine. It's the same situation. So you're now playing it out in Europe and people are going to fight back. So we'll see. We'll see how far it goes, man. But you do this at your own peril. And this is why I'm saying you can only bring people into your country at the rate that they will assimilate to the value system.
But again, is this just a populism thing? We need a bad guy. The Muslims are on the rise. They're the bad guy. Let's get mad at them. And
doing this at a populist moment is how you magnify the effect 100-fold. But it isn't just that. People will fight for their values. It becomes a quantity thing.
What do you mean by the first thing you said, doing this at a populist moment makes it 100-fold?
So you're going to pour accelerant on the fire by introducing people with different values at a time where resentment is already through the roof. And people, 20 million people think that Mr. Beast is evil. In a moment that unhinged emotionally, if you then import a bunch of people that are anathema to your values, they're going to go after them. So in a way that they would be far less fast to go after them, because in a time where everything is going good economically, people are having a good time, people just aren't going to react as hard and fast. It's like life is good. So it's like you're going out of your way to find a problem. And that would be the pushback that everybody would give you is like, bro, why are you obsessed about Islamists? Like they're like 2% of the country, bro. Like this, chill. And then you go, yeah, but if you follow this out, they're going to be 10% and then they're going to be 15%. And this is exactly how things go awry. They get political power. They start making demands. And this is all bad. P.S. This is exactly how the Jews got Israel. So if you got beef with the Jews, then I don't understand how people don't recognize that this will be the same inflammatory problem in importing them into Europe. And this one I look at as an anthropologist. And I'm just like, this plays out in a very knowable fashion, boys and girls.
So in one fashion, I've heard you talk in the past about we talk about corporate greed, tax rate greed, and you're like, you can't get mad that capitalism is the game and people know the game better than other people. Is this similar in the fact that the Muslims wouldn't have their free immigration, they wouldn't have a stronghold in certain communities of the U.S. if those communities weren't dying barren outside? Everybody talks about Dearborn, Michigan. Everybody's like, there's a whole Muslim population. We should have stopped that. Dearborn, Michigan used to be where the Ford factory was. So if the Ford factory was still there, if we didn't ship it out, there still would have been blue collar jobs there. Americans still would have been there still would have been a diner. They would still would have had 1950s there. They still would have been playing country music. But they decimated the town. Everybody left. The Muslims came in for cheap. So we can't get mad that you know what I mean? Is there
I really do love the way you encapsulate some things. That's brilliant. I love everything about that. You are saying very, very true words. The catch is that there's a way to do immigration well, and there's a way to do immigration poorly. And Europe did immigration so poorly that we at least have the lead to go, okay, hold on a second.
Based off of that experiment.
You can't do it devoid of checking for value system, and you can't do it devoid of speed. So if you're English and you have, and I use that word very intentionally because my wife, who is a British citizen, is not English. And I remember the first time I called her English, she was legitimately bothered by it. She's like, I'm not English. And I was like, what the fuck? You're from England. She's like, yes, but I'm Greek. And I was like, what kind of weird ass distinction are we making? So it would be like if I said to you, you're American. You're like, whoa, bitch, I'm Haitian. It's like,
yeah, I live here though. I pay taxes.
And that's how I felt about my wife. And so, but I was like, oh, I get it. Like England is a thing. Being English is an identity. And unlike America, that's 250 years old, England is thousands of years old. London itself is like over 1,000 years old. It's crazy. So these are civilizations that have been around for a very long time. So there really is like a distilled difference between being English and being French. So if you're a white English person, that's very different than being a white French person. They feel some kind of way when, like if you say to like if you have a French person in England and you said you're English, some percentage of them are going to be like, no, I'm not. I'm British. I'm not English. So I was like, okay, but here's why, like the Greek communities did not create as much, because I'm sure if you imported too many of them, you'd have a similar problem. But the reason that the Greeks were able to assimilate in a way that Islamists for sure are going to struggle, and possibly Muslims, is that they're not the same religion. And so if you get secular people from the Middle East, I don't think it's going to matter at all. Like if they come to England, they're like, hey, word, man, I'm here for finance, bro. Like this is dope. I'm British. I love it the most. England is my home. Couldn't be any happier. I'm secular. No beef. But when you've got people coming in, we've got the Cypriot Greek girl just off camera. And so that's where this gets problematic. The Greek are Christian. So it's like you get Christian on top of Christian, nobody's got beef. They've got different churches, but churches, and everybody sort of gets it. Even the clergy like follow similar rankings and all that. So it's like, yeah, not a lot of friction there. But you start getting into now a totally different religion, you're going to have problems. So again, I think it's wise of people, because I think it lowers a lot in predictive validity if you just look at Muslims, because if Muslims come in and they're like, no, we're cool. We don't want Sharia law either. We also don't want any form of religion to be baked into the government. Secular, we're here for it. There's not going to be a big clash, especially if the second generation kids are like, I'm Muslim, but like I grew up in England. I see myself as British. You're not going to have a problem with that. Again, this is not a race problem. If though, you get somebody who's like, yeah, we want Sharia law. We're going to be chill about it for now. But let me tell you, that when we start hitting 7-8%, we're going to start saying something about it. And then we hit 15%, you're really going to know about it. It's like, okay, you're going to get a clash. And that's literally what's happening. So be careful. This is a values thing. And when people try to rapidly change the values in a country, you will see fighting. It may not be like actual punching in the face, but you're going to see protests for sure. And then it can always escalate, especially if economic times get too difficult. We'll get back to the show in just a second. But first, I want to talk about how to make eating well a no-brainer. There's a massive difference between good protein and garbage protein. A lot of people have never experienced the good stuff. Instead, they're gambling with grocery store meat that's been sitting around for weeks. That's exactly why I'm a ButcherBox customer and have been for a very long time. I've got multiple freezers full of my favorites like filet mignon, organic free-range chicken breast, wild-caught salmon, and of course, a whole lot of Applewood smoked bacon. These are the cuts that my wife Lisa and I reach for every day to fuel ourselves. And now ButcherBox is letting me send my favorites direct to your doorstep in the Bilyeu box. You get these selections plus a few more and free bacon for life. Right now, you can get the Bilyeu box plus free bacon for life and $20 off your first box. Just head to butcherbox.com/impact and use code IMPACT. And now let's get back to the show.
All right, let's jump into this black radical versus black conservative. Okay, before we start this conversation, I need to just have some...
We're doing 45 minutes on this, everybody.
I need to have some mild markers, please. It's like a debate. Like, let's do definitions. Let's just start at the very beginning. Amanda Seales is a black radical. She's not a liberal. So she's not a representative of the Democrat. She's not a Democratic ideology. Yes, recently the Democrats adopted black people so that way they can have them vote for them.
Recently?
Since 1960?
I was going to say, yeah. If you're trying to say since 1920 or 2020, I'm going to have a problem here.
But so just so this, a lot of people were like dunking in the comments like, yeah, this is what's wrong with the left.
Yes,
it's like,
Pookie.
yeah, well, she's not representing the left. So I just want to be respectful of the left in the audience. Secondly, we have to understand who Amanda Seales is as a person. A lot of people don't even know who she is. It's their first time interacting with her. She was like famously kicked out of Insecure, the Issa Rae show that was on HBO for a bunch of years because she was too like...
Oh, yeah.
It wanted to go to Emmys. Yeah, it was a good show. it was one of the number one or number two black shows out at the time. She was kicked out of it for being too problematic, too high maintenance. Like, she is notorious for always arguing with people. She lost a radio show in Chicago because she used to argue with the callers all the time. So it's like, having her in this position, it literally was like rage bait. And like a lot of the black community, black Twitter that knows her from that era, now seeing her as like a debater, as a commentator, it's all funny because you used to be the clapback queen, and now you're sitting as a debater and doing all these things.
And the black Twitter community thinks that's ridiculous because she can't be taken seriously as a debater.
It's one of those things like, she's the most argumentative person like on the.
Isn't that what you want in a debater?
So that's why it was like
Destiny is
yeah.
like.
So it's like, oh, this is funny because all she's going to do is yell at people and do these things. So when people were like, well, all she's doing is raising her voice and yelling, it's like, yeah, that's what Amanda Seales does. So it's kind of like her caricature, almost like so Sarah Silverman is going to tell a dirty joke. Like that's her shtick. That's her funny in.
Got it. Okay, cool. Now, is that a popular thing? Like, if we took a poll on Black Twitter, would she be like wildly popular, wildly unpopular?
She's a character.
Totally down the middle.
She's a character. So it's like, we know who she is. There's people who love her, people who hate her. That's why I use Sarah Silverman, because that's a very specific female comedian with a regular style. Like, there's 1,000 comedians, but not everybody's Sarah Silverman. There's 1,000 black women who do comedy, but they don't do it like Amanda Seales does it. All right. So this was, I think you said this was one of your favorites. The James Nuclear dude, Colin Wright retweeted, "This ideology is on its way out and it's still widely believed and entrenched in many institutions, but its intellectual vacociousness is being exposed every day for all to see. They have no coherent argument, just snark and sanctimony. We had enough."
So in fairness to her, statistics really can be made to say just about anything that you want them to say. You can look at them from a different angle. You can frame them in a way that does not mean that you want to abandon statistics, because there can be real revelations in the data, but you do need to be skeptical of the data. You do need to try to look at things from multiple different angles. When I'm writing my deep dives, a lot of times I'll get a stat and I'll be like, okay, that's way too convenient for my narrative. I need to like go look at this from different angles. Like, how do we end up here? What is this really? How was the study framed? And I have no doubt in the fullness of time, there are going to be stats that I've used where it's like, okay, there was some flaw in the underlying study or whatever. So I concede her point. But what I saw a lot of from her is when she's losing an argument that's based on stats, she will just switch to a pure like emotion, or she'll tell, like, I can't remember if this kid, I think it is this kid, where she's like, think of me as your mom, don't talk to me like that. It's like, that's not an argument, especially not when you're talking to people in a way where I'm just like aghast. So one thing that I really like about the way that Destiny debates, and listen, I know Destiny has his flaws and he will for sure go unhinged, but when people are attacking him, he just almost doesn't even acknowledge it. He just like keeps going, here are the stats, here are the figures. And she says something at the very, very, very end of the debate. Literally after everybody goes, they bring in a few more people. This is done, the debate's over. You've got like 3 minutes left on the Jubilee video. Most people are gone by now. And they brought a couple more people out solo just to like ask them a couple questions. And she's one of them. And she's basically like, we don't need to be having this debate or conversation, I forget which word she used, at the level of data. We need to be having this at the level of love. And I thought, this is somebody who's like, I have a narrative that I believe, I have a set of values that I hold, and we're going to argue from that position. And then from there, if you map her as that, somebody that legitimately doesn't care what is sort of true, grounded in factual reality, and instead is like, this is going to be narrative driven to get to an outcome that I believe in, then it's like, oh, all of a sudden there's a point where she's like, I'll just keep raising my voice until you stop. There is telling people they're not going to talk to her like that, telling her to stop when they deliver a fact that she doesn't like, saying that they're incorrect when the fact checker's like, no, they're not. So it's, once you start mapping someone like that, you realize that whole idea that I've talked about many times in a marriage, where you'll be arguing about the tea versus like, what's the actual thing? Like, for this debate to work, they would have to pull into the conversation that I, Amanda Seales, do not care about facts and figures. None of that is relevant to me. This is about leading with love. And here's how I believe that we need to manifest, to use a very loaded word, manifest that love. This is based on my beliefs, my values, and that's it. And then at least you can go, okay, well, I'm going to go after your beliefs and your values, or I'm going to go after the very fundamental nature of the premise and say, this can only be had at the level of facts. Now, I get that that's boring as hell. Like, that's terrible TV. So I understand why we're not going to do it, but that's the only way that you're going to get something productive out of this.
Yeah, I want to jump in onto the stats and figures thing for a second, because I think what she's alluding to here, where stats and figures can be manipulated, is so I dated my first white woman in college. I was like 22, 23 at the time, or after
First
college.
OJ, now Kobe. That's it. No more white women. I remember that chant. That was hilarious.
So I went to her house. She lived in like a super community. Her dad was loaded, so like his house was here, her uncle's house was down the street, her aunt's house was around the corner. Like, they were very ingrained in the community. I remember one time we were out one night drinking, got to her house at like 2 a.m, whatever. We're sitting on the couch laughing and giggling. We see like a car pull up and a cop like come behind it. A cop knocks on the door. We kind of tense up because we was drinking, like, oh snap, something happened. Her pops walks up and the cop was like, yeah, sorry, caught Mr. So-and-so at the pub again. You know, make sure he's good. Here's his keys, whatever like that. And in that moment, I like smiled because I was like, oh, this is hilarious. But that's a thing that I often point to when we look at these crime stats and we look at certain things like that. In certain communities, when a police shows up, he's like, how do I help this community? How do I take care of them? How do I do these things? In other communities, when I go there, I'm not talking, I'm not asking questions, I'm throwing you in the paddy wagon and I'm booking you. If I was in that same exact position, in that same exact neighborhood, I don't know if he would have been like, hey, do you know anybody here? How can I get you home? How can I make sure you're good?
Right.
That same logic can be applied to early statistics that's done in elementary education, where Black kindergartners and white kindergartners do the same thing. Black kindergartners get suspended, white kindergartners get talked to and put back into play. Same thing can be, so there's different tent poles that we can look through different levels of society. So it's not even like murder stats. Yeah, you got me there. Black people kill a lot of Black people. I'm not even going to argue that. But when you just say Black people are inherently, it's in their DNA, there's all these crime stats. Once you start teasing that out and actually start pulling apart.
The second you say DNA, we have beef. So here would be my thing, just like because I know this is the big beef with my audience, and I have a lot of empathy for people in the audience that roll up to the live who haven't seen me in years, and they're like, oh my God, like he's going to be doing mindset stuff. And then I am not doing mindset stuff. As the mindset guy, I will say that you become what you repeat. And so we have a perpetual motion machine, and the perpetual motion machine is that we are in a world where, through a whole series of obviously horrific things, starting in slavery, echoing through today, you've got a position where we have trapped people in poverty. And just disproportionately by way of population, you're going to see a lot of Blacks especially, but minorities just in general, end up in that cycle of poverty. Cycle's the right way to think of it. You can think of it as like people being weighed down. Like it is economically right now so hard to escape that. It's not impossible, but Jesus, it is like we've gone out of our way to really trap people there. So now we've got people stuck in this cycle of poverty. That cycle of poverty kicks off real statistics that people really should care about, and they should ask, like, uh-oh, like that's not good. So if you have a cop that's coming into that situation and life has taught them that they're not mapping it to poverty, they are mapping it to skin color. Mistake, but nonetheless, I get how they end up there. And so they walk into a room full of people that really are visually tied to like way elevated crime statistics. Now, if they're also geographically in that space, now the cop is like, okay, double whammy. They look like the people who did a thing, and they're in the neighborhood of people who really do the thing. And so it is wiser from a safety perspective for me to come in like way alert. So all of those things make sense. Where it breaks down is, how the hell did we get out of this? And that's where I'm saying you become what you repeat. And right now, what we are repeating ad nauseum is like, this is all racism, the system is against you, it's all bad all the time. And this is why, and I think this is a fascinating part of the argument, when people point back and go, hold on a second, when we had first exited slavery, we very rapidly did better as a community than we're doing now. So what I look at that and I go, you can rule out as a thought experiment, I do this with entrepreneurs all the time, run the thought experiment to see if you can rule out some options. You can rule out that racism is the thing that holds you back when you realize that things were better in the Black community like 100 years ago. So something happened in the intervening 100 years. Now, maybe I can't get you to buy into in the 60s, all the different welfare programs and stuff that just gutted poor families in general, which because there was a disproportionate number of Blacks is going to be disproportionately impactful. And so that creates this snowball effect. Even if I can't get you to buy that, you can just rule out that this is a problem of racism. Now, you may come back to, well, then what we have to do is be insular again. We have to be cloistered communities. We have to reject integration with white society. Okay, that strikes me as a terrible idea, but at least that I would understand why you would come to that conclusion. And I don't have a thought experiment in America to rule that out. Cool. Now we at least have a place that we can start. And this is what I think he's getting at with Mr. Nuclear here, which is really his Twitter name, is trying to get at. Is he's like, the Chinese were put, far briefer, but the Chinese were put through something equally horrible in America. Maybe not equally horrible, but bad. Apartheid, literally the system was against them. And now, later down the road, massive success. Same with Nigerian immigrants, massive success. So, as you start getting into trying to get to the cause and effect, my hope is that people look at those things and go, okay, cool. The narrative that we're using, A, just doesn't map to reality. And then B, if Tom is right and you become what you repeat, we are making everyone obsessed with race by talking about it all the time. And I always forget her name, Satya something, just did a whole breakdown of this on CNN. The increase in the word, I think it was slavery and something else, from like 2000 to 2020 goes up by like 5,000%. Now, we haven't had a 5,000% increase in slavery from 2000 to 2020. So there's something else going on. And if I'm right, that you become what you repeat, the mere fact that we now obsess over race is making race a bigger problem.
You said something interesting about Chinese immigrants, how they were overcome and came through. I think one fallacy that we also have to let go of is that you can't compare immigrant communities to native Black Americans. The United States is the unique situation out of any other country in the world that the people that they enslaved, they then set free, and those freed people stayed in the same spot. Usually it's like you set free, then they migrate over here and they go stay over here, or they set free and they leave Japan and they go back to Korea or something like that. But it's not necessarily like, okay, you're free, go across the street. So I think comparing those types of people with people who are the best and brightest, because I was nimble enough, I was ambitious enough, I was able-bodied enough to cross an entire Atlantic Ocean to chase my dream, pursue a better life. That's this different level of ambition, intellect, and things like that. So you're comparing the type slice of another population with the majority of the existing population. You're saying, well, see, these exceptional 1% people do it, so how come you guys aren't doing it? When the people that we're pointing to, they also have their exceptional 1% who are doing it.
Okay, this is amazing. I think you laid that out very eloquently. If at any point you think that I'm misrepresenting your view, please grab me, because this is one where, man, if you and I can get on the same page about this, especially because you're the CEO of the Black community, like this could really be transformational.
We can make a deal here.
That would be incredible. Okay, so here's what I see in that. What I see in that, again, is literal evidence. This isn't a racism problem.
As in the skin color problem you're saying.
Correct. Okay. This is so interesting. I know you have a whole take on that, and so does Amanda Seales for that matter. So maybe we'll talk about that in a second. But for now, I'm just saying it is not I can cue off of what you look like visually problem. And because I look at you and I see somebody who is different than me, I'm going to try to hold you back. I'm going to try to create systems that hold you back, all that. Okay. So point conceded that there is going to be a difference between people that were forcibly brought here and somebody who immigrates here. Meaning somebody who immigrates here, there's already a massive selection bias for risk-taking, possibly for intellect, like it may be a proxy for IQ, all of that. And so what I hear you putting forward, and I think this is very valid, is you've got a whole group of people, who knows, it's going to be the whole gamut of intellectual capabilities, whereas immigrant communities, they come over and that's going to be more selected for people that just have more success correlated individual traits. Okay, cool. What I'm saying is, yes, Therein lies the problem. But what we talk about is race. And I'm saying, fuck all that noise, because it literally doesn't matter. If you keep reinforcing, then it becomes a mind virus. And then people are going to derail even more because people are legitimately, as far as I can tell, actually becoming more racist. It really didn't feel like this in the 80s and 90s, man. It really did not feel like this. As a white person, it did not feel like this. I didn't look around and see people like secretly being racist. Like, you might have, and honestly, yeah, okay, even I, like, you would hear like the occasional like,
Jigaboo.
you look no, I never heard anything like that, but you'd hear like comments from your great uncle, not even my uncles, but like my grandfather's brothers and sisters might say like a weird thing here or there, but it was so like just considered gross. So nobody in my universe was like leaning into that. And I'm talking at school, everywhere. It just like, it didn't feel like it feels now. Okay. So from that perspective, I feel like we're moving in the wrong direction fast. People are legitimately becoming more racist. I think as an obsession with race, trying to classify everybody, then people team up, then they fight for their team. And so you're pushing people where it's like, think of yourself as white first. Well, then you're going to get white nationalists and all that bullshit because you're pushing them to think of that as their team. Very fucking stupid, in my opinion. Okay, so, but going back to what you were saying, we have now delineated that this is not a skin color problem. This is intellect problem if we're really going to boil it down. No matter what your race is, if you don't have the intellectual horsepower to get out from under a system that's trying to hold you back, you're in trouble. But I think when you start looking at broader communities like Indian Americans, Chinese Americans, Japanese Americans, Korean Americans, like you start seeing a cultural trend because they've been here for generations and generations and generations. So this isn't just like Nigerian immigrants who are all going to be very recent. This is like, not only do I not have a Chinese accent, my parents don't have a Chinese accent, their parents didn't have a Chinese accent. So now I think it maps far closer to culture than to intellect. And the culture in Asian communities right now today is you are going to work until your face falls off. Like from the time you're a little kid, you're going to be going to tutors. You are expected to excel academically, all of that. I don't know these stats, but I would be surprised if there isn't more two-parent households. And so once people start going, okay, wait, hold on a sec. Like a core pillar of my entire belief system is that humans became the ultimate apex predator, the most dominant creature the world has ever seen, the ability to leave the planet for one reason and one reason only. We pass things on through culture. We don't try to hardwire everything the way that a horse does. A horse, 20 minutes after it's born, it can do all the things that a horse is ever going to be able to do. A human is not like that. We've got 25 years of brain development. We can be dropped into any circumstance and it's going to wildly impact our lives. And so if I can get people to agree that that is true, then it's like, okay, then what you're transmitting to young kids, which matters a factor of 100 more to indoctrinate people with high utility ideology when they are young is the entire game. And if you don't have two-parent households, if you're having to put your kids in a bathtub, because of stray bullets, if your school is absolutely god-awful, areas of the brain actually don't develop. They just don't develop. They don't hear the right number of words. My whole Jeffrey Canada speech, if anybody wants to hear, I can certainly go down. But it's like the number of words that you hear matters tremendously to your brain development. So now we've got, okay, here's real problem. Real problem is poverty is destroying brain development. Culturally, you don't have intact families, so you're not getting male and female influence. You need both. Again, brain development, seeing things from different sides, men teaching you to be tougher, to be more emotionally resilient, mothers making you feel loved, like you can do anything. Like these are very necessary ingredients to the development of the human mind, which is designed to react to its environment. So now you take all of that. You, in my estimation, have proven this is not a skin color problem. And now it becomes, okay, this is an intellect culture problem. Now, I am certainly not making the argument, which you will hear out on the internet, that black people in general just don't have the intellectual horsepower. I think that's total horseshit. Just my own lived experience, as cheesy as that is, tells me that it just doesn't matter. Walking up to somebody based on their skin color, I am not going to be able to tell whether they're smart, whether they are funny, whether they are good at name this, that, or the other. But if you tell me that I'm looking at a Chinese person whose parents have an accent, I'm like, oh, that motherfucker works hard, guaranteed. There is so much pressure on them culturally because I can just guess what that culture is going to be like. And so to me, culture has massive predictive validity where in terms of how well that person's going to do. And skin color has extremely low predictive validity. We'll be back to the show in a second, but right now I want to talk to you about how investment apps can actually destroy your wealth. If they're using gamification techniques to get you to make poor decisions, you are in a bad place. Turning push notifications for hot picks, giving you streaks for daily trading. These apps are designed like slot machines, keeping you addicted to trading instead of actually building wealth. That's why I'm excited about Alio Capital. Alio's built for independent thinkers who want to invest with discipline, not emotion, which is the only way to invest. Their Altitude AI focuses on what actually matters: inflation shifts, interest rate changes, global risk. It adapts your portfolio based on real economic forces, not market hype. Stop gambling with your future. Start investing with intention. Download the Alio app in the App Store or Google Play or text TOM to 511-511. Investing involves risks, including potential loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee results. See terms and conditions. Text fees may apply. This is a paid advertisement. And now, let's get back to the show.
French streamer Jean Parmenovov, Okie dokie Sovi, let me know if I pronounced that right, has passed away in his sleep at the age 46 during a day 10 of a marathon stream. Now, for context, this dude was getting beat up and all those things during his stream, but allegedly he died of natural causes in his sleep after the 10-day. There was a community note added, more context needed. Raphael Graven was found dead in bed after enduring 10 days while being sleep deprived, tortured, and ingested different toxic products by other people that participated in the 10-day stream marathon.
This is super weird. Now, I don't know enough about this guy, so it's entirely possible he's the problem. That he's driving this, he's telling people to do this, that whatever. It's also possible that this guy is mentally ill or whatever, and people are taking advantage of him. I don't know, but here's one, people choking him, and there are a bunch of people choking him. And so at one point, people are like putting paint all over him. I mean, this is just weird. So I don't know if this is what people think they see when they watch Mr. Beast content, because I react to this the way that chat reacted to Mr. Beast the last time that I brought him up. They talk about Mr. Beast like this is what Mr. Beast does. This to me is a freak show. This is like, read the book, technically Richard Bachman, but Stephen King nom de plume, called The Running Man. The way that I felt reading The Running Man is how I feel watching this, where it's like people will do anything for views, man. Like, this is wild. And trust me, the irony is not lost on me that I'm on here trying to get as many views as I can. But like they're just punching him. Like, this is so weird.
Yeah, all of this thing is just physical abuse. Like, and you're 48, bro. I'm sorry. I'm not to be ageist, but like, I don't know. At some point, you need to pick up a trade, bro. Like something. Yeah. Like, this is crazy.
I don't get it, man. I mean, I do get it. That's the problem. Yeah. You get attention, you get money, but at what cost? Like people always say that all of the world's problems are due to man's inability to sit in a room by himself. And I think that there is a lot of truth to that. I think a lot of the modern era is that people have a hard time being invisible. And trust me, I get it. Like, not being invisible has high utility, but I've rebooted my channel so many times that I'll go from like, I'm getting recognized everywhere I go, to then I'm completely invisible again, to then I'm getting recognized again, to I'm completely invisible. And one of the things that I really liked was I went through a huge reboot of the channel during COVID. And so I was just like not on anybody's radar. I wasn't seeing anybody out on the streets. The view counts were just like abysmal. And I was like, oh, this is what it's like to have total anonymity again. It just doesn't bother me. So I'm very grateful for that, because when I see stuff like this, I'm like, damn, like when you really need the attention like that. And look, I get it. I'm speaking from a place of I have a loving wife. And if I didn't, I might be in a totally different psychological space. But yo,
yeah,
that I don't like to see it. So I'll be interested to see what happens with the autopsy when it comes out, if it was from something, one of the toxic things that he supposedly ate, if it was completely unrelated, or if it was just like stacking stress because they were also doing sleep deprivation. Yeah. So it's like you keep choking him. If like, let's say that he ends up dying of a stroke. Okay, you just choked him a whole bunch of times, which is, you want to talk about blood pressure? Yeah. Holy hell, that's going to spike massively. If you're eating something toxic and that's creating massive inflammation. And so you go from, you're choking him massive blood pressure while he's got massive inflammation, and then you get like a stroke. Again, I don't know. I have no idea that's what happened. But if something like that happened, I could see it. The body just has limits, man.
Yeah, and then going to your point of Mr. Beast, raw egg nutritionist at BabyGravy9 did a tweet that has 62 million views, which is wild. Mr. Beast is genuinely one of the most evil people alive today. I mean that. And this is retweeting Mr. Beast, who said he just did his first live stream and raised over $12 million for charity. Yeah, this most is money like ever raised in live stream. So this is part of Mr. Beast's Clean Water Initiative. He raised it to effectively give it, like donate it to people, but yet they're calling him the most evil. And people in the chat were like agreeing. So I don't get it. Like, there are tons of real evil people we need to give our pay. Like, this is also like my like Trump beef, when like a lot of people call it Trump Hitler. I'm like, Trump is doing real things that are actually hurting people. So let's do that. We don't need to jump into hyperbole and all these like analogies. Right. Like, let's just get mad at the policy he passed or this executive order that's deporting people. But don't just give him this fictitious bad guy villain title and try
there are plenty of real life villains to actually be mad at. Yeah.
And I think this is the same thing happening with Mr. Beast, where it's like, you might not like the style or what he's doing, but to call him evil, like, I feel like he's likable.
So
dumb. Like it's just weird.
Yeah, I don't get it. So one, I've had the good fortune of meeting Jimmy behind the scenes, lovely guy behind the scenes. And then also just seeing what he's done on YouTube is unbelievable. Like, when you see someone like Mr. Beast, or you see like Alex Hormozy and what he just did, for people that don't know, Alex Hormozy just did a book launch that made $77 million. That is insanity. The fastest selling book of all time. So you see like these younger guys come up and they're like the new school. Like Mr. Beast is, to use an anime reference, it's like he learned from all the power systems that came before him, and he creates like the perfect Jujutsu Kaisen power system. Like, it gets all this like love right away because people recognize, oh, he's distilled, you know, like the 50 years of anime that came before him, manga and anime. And so he's looked at all the people that came before him on YouTube and like really learned the YouTube game better than anybody, and now plays it in the extreme. And people are losing sight of the fact that YouTube is a mirror. Like, Mr. Beast is showing you exactly what you want to watch. And so if people are mad, if they think that he's evil, what does that say about what they want to watch? First of all, I sort of get, like, if you don't like the psychological experimentation of him putting people under stress, because he certainly does put people under stress, but he's not actually endangering anybody's life. Like, if I think about myself in my poorest of poor days in those situations, I guarantee you, I would never cry. I wouldn't be shedding a tear. I wouldn't be freaking out. I would come in and be like, okay, cool. Like, I've got a chance at like big upside, but my downside is exactly where I was before. So I don't watch that stuff and think, oh my God, like this is some evil, like genius. What's that guy? Buzzsaw? Who's the guy from the Saw series?
Oh, Jigsaw.
Yeah. I don't look at him and go, this is some jigsaw guy that's getting people to cut arms and legs off. Like the streamer we were just looking at is having people choke him, eat crazy stuff. Like, so I don't know. This one's very weird to me.
April said, when can we stop acting like crabs in the bucket? And it kind of makes me seem of like, I'm starting to see parallels in all these different moments where populism in the government is leading toward resentment. And that resentment is going from the Jews to the black fatigue to now Mr. Beast smiling too much. I don't like him neither. Yeah. And it seems like there's this
resentment.
Yeah, the need for a bad guy. And in every category across all sectors, it's like, well, this person is the problem. I hate this person. I hate Fortnite now.
We hate people that win.
Yeah.
If it's big, it's popular, we hate it. We don't want to see it. Yeah, it is absolutely heartbreaking. And I would love to see us get back to the point where You have the social mobility. People really can play and win the game. Housing is affordable. Like that we get back to that sense of the American dream is real and we can do these things and we can accomplish great stuff and we're moving in a cool direction. Somebody said, isn't bankrupting your own country evil? Yes, but it's like good luck finding one person that you're going to be able to pin that on. Everybody that's doing it, I mean, maybe with the exception of central bankers, but they all think they're doing something good. And even central bankers can pretty easily hide behind the good things that modern monetary theory does do. And it does do good things. It just plays out in a cycle where you get to the end cycle and it really is evil. So, yeah.
All right. You teased this in the intro. Let's jump into it. My wife stopped having sex with me, so I stopped doing things for her.
Yeah.
Me, 37-year-old male, wife, 32 female, have been married for 7 years. We have 2 kids. For the first few years, sex was great. Not just the physical part, but the connection. Then about 3 years ago, it slowed down a lot. Now we're basically roommates who co-parent. I've tried initiating. I've tried talking about it. I've tried planning date nights, even helping more around the house. Every time I bring it up, she says she's too tired or not in the mood or that I make her feel pressured by even bringing it up. So about a year ago, I just stopped doing the little things I used to do for her, making coffee in the morning, leaving notes, fixing things right away, giving her massages, planning surprises. I still pull my weight with chores and the kids, but the quote unquote extras felt pointless when I'm basically being treated like a platonic roommate. Now she's upset that I've changed and that I'm not as loving anymore. I told her straight up that love feels different when it's one-sided.
Marriage is a negotiation. And sex is a point of leverage for women typically. And kindnesses and all the little sweet things that I think women are far more drawn to is certainly a leverage point that men have. You are going to train your spouse. You are going to reinforce behavior you want more of, and you are going to quote unquote punish behavior that you want less of. That is plain and simple, and you can hide behind niceties and pretend that's not what's going on all you want, and marriage is going to be one long confusing endeavor for you. The reality is this is how we interface with the world. When someone does something you don't like, you tell them, you pull it up short, you draw boundaries, you say, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. I don't want that. Now, understand how to interact with people to actually get what you want. That a smile, a touch, a hug, kindness, doing something sweet for somebody. If you frame it as this is all tit for tat, everything is transactional in a relationship, you are also going to be confused and your life is going to be a nightmare and you're not going to understand like what's going on. If on the other hand, you go, hey, a big part of this game is manipulating my own emotions and manipulating their emotions, and everybody hates that word and I'm perfectly open. Influence, nudge, push, gently influence, like whatever people want to call it, fine. But the reality is that you are going to play a multi-decade, if it goes well, a multi-decade game of influencing your partner to do more of what you want and less of what you don't want. And you should welcome that they are going to do the same to you. And we broke something, Drew, when we stopped admitting that part of a woman's job is to make her man better. And part of a man's job is to put some boundaries on the emotional outbursts of a woman. That just is. I am a better person because of my wife. I pushed for more, I strive for more because she had huge demands of me. And it has been awesome. And thank God that when I did something cool, that woman would touch my genitals, Drew. And when I literally told her one day, the weight of my heart is not through my stomach, it's through my dick. And if you understand that, we are going to get along really fucking well. And so she was like, oh, word? So I remember.
Say less, fam.
No, we're going to say more. We're really about to go deep. And my wife is going to have to forgive me for airing all of this stuff. And look, I get it. Someone's saying, Tom, kind of icky right now. Scrubadurba, I'm just letting you know how this all plays out. And I've been married for 23 glorious years. It's been amazing.
I'm about to see her later, Tom.
So,
come on.
I know. My wife was like, she really enjoyed shopping and I didn't. And I was like, if you touch me up in the changing room, we're going to have no problems. I'll go shopping with you as much as you want. So she started touching me up in the changing room. And I was like, let's go shopping. So
you wake her up on a Saturday morning, who's ready to go shopping today?
Of course. Who wouldn't, Drew? So I'm just saying, I don't get why people are so weird about this. Like, what is it that you want? Communicate to your spouse. Let them know the things you like. Let them know the things you don't like. And don't be transactional. Try to figure out, like, how do we get connected over this? How do we bond over this? How do we understand life is hard? We're doing it together. That I want you to shape me. I want to shape you, but I want to love and be loved, and I want grace. And when I mess up, I don't want you to just immediately tit for tat. It's like, you've got to have, grace is what I call shock absorbers. You've got to let the person do things where it's like, okay, look, that's kind of wacky, but I'm not going to like jump in and draw a hard line every time that you, like, I remember Lisa and I, we would say, look, if you're about to come on your period and you're being overly emotional, I'm going to let you cross like 10 lines. And then line 11, I will eventually say, and this was a magic phrase, I think that your response is disproportionate to the stimulus. And that was a way of just saying, listen, I've been absorbing all of these things that feel like overreactions, but I might be wrong, and maybe that's not it. Maybe there really is something real here. But there is an eventual line where you cross where I'm like, okay, hold on. This is so disproportionate now to the stimulus. I'm going to call it out. And then if you disagree, like walk me through. But we know this is a literal cycle that happens, and it's very predictable. And so let's just talk about it. And so Lisa and I being able to talk about the things we like, the things that we don't like, creating space when it's like, hey, if you want to go do that thing that I really don't like, fair enough. Like, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to do my thing. And then you would welcome the person back into your space immediately when they stop doing the thing that you didn't want. And all of these little negotiations have made our communication extremely high level, have made our marriage the most rewarding thing in my life, far more rewarding than money or success. Is my marriage. My marriage is the thing that I will defend literally to the death. But we understood that this is all going to be these little negotiations, that we were going to influence each other, that I'm not going to hang out with you if you're doing something that I absolutely hate. And so it's like, yeah, these are all fine. And so over time, you begin to shape each other into like this cooperative unit. But people have at some point decided that we didn't want to be units. Lisa and I have talked a lot about we are independently codependent. Like, we have intentionally like fostered that we're sharing a life, that if something's really upsetting you, then I'm going to enter into that world and I'm going to come into that emotional frame. I'm going to try to help you back out for sure. But it's like, I'm not going to be like, well, that's a you problem. Like, we're a unit. We're moving through life as a unit. That is the literal experiment that we're running. What does it look like if two people share their lives? And we just say, look, there are going to be richer men than me. There are going to be hotter women than you. And I'm committed to you. So it doesn't matter. And while I'm going to enjoy your beauty while I have it, that certainly isn't going to be the only thing. So I just, the sort of modern day framing of there's always another fish in the sea and like, I don't need no man and all that stuff. This is just full retard. People are out of their goddamn minds. It is so out of step with evolution. It's crazy. On average, men are goal oriented. So if a woman is stepping in to help you be better at achieving your goals, you're going to feel good about it if she does it deftly. If she makes you feel like you're on insecure footing because you didn't get that goal, that would suck. If she's like, I'm here to catch you, I'm here to help you get better, like I want to push you, I want to cheer for you, but I'm also going to soothe you when you're down and not be like, fuck you, I'm off to the next guy. Like, if she looks at it as like, part of my job is to help you like make the most of your potential, that feels so good. My wife bet on me when everybody else thought I was a loser. Nobody thought that I was ever going to amount to anything. Nobody. I've run through that whole thing a million times. But my wife was like, yo, I see something here. At a time, remember, she says yes to my marriage proposal when I'm lying in bed 4 to 5 hours a day every day, okay? That's when she says yes. Not because I'm already the thing, because she sees what I can become and that she wants to be a part of it. And we used to clown on women for wanting to fix guys and all that stuff. You should be like, cool, I want to leverage that to my advantage. I want somebody who wants to like help me achieve my potential. It's incredible. Okay, now women. So if we're the goal-oriented species, then what women need is somebody to help with setting boundaries, protection, pointing in a direction, leadership, all of that. And part of that is going to be, everyone is going to hate this. I really wish that I had a better analogy. Please forgive me. I'm scrambling in my brain to try to find something better. I don't have anything better.
Shoot, let's do it.
Okay. Oh, God. When you put a dog on a leash, it is more aggressive than when it's off leash. When a woman knows you're going to, if I get out of whack, you're going to like pull me back in. They feel more confident, more secure. They're more ambitious, more aggressive. People with the strongest home life take the biggest risks. And so being able to provide that safety and security allows them to express themselves in a bigger way in the world. Because they know, if I'm getting out of hand, like he's going to point out, hey, maybe don't do that. Maybe that's OTT, whatever, and it helps rein them in. Because women have a, let's call it, larger range of emotion, that the emotions can happen faster and be more consuming, to have somebody there that is the port in the storm, that is the orienting mechanism, that can help you see, like, is this in proportion to what's happening
the
or
mountain
not?
for her waves to crash again.
The rocks for the waves of her emotions to crash on. Shout out to, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now.
Breedlove.
No. It's not where I heard it the first time.
I feel like I heard
it
during that
was,
interview.
he's in Andrew Tate's orbit. Oh God. He's been on
Waller?
the show. Lovely guy.
Waller?
What? Yes, Justin Waller. Thank you. I actually really, really like him. Lovely
Shout
guy.
out to Justin Waller. Yeah.
And it's a great line. So if you can be that, then it will feel like this incredible exchange, because your wife, in my case, has a echolocation device where it's like, I really feel this thing, but is this proportionate? This is the ping. Is it proportionate to what's happening? Yes or no? Will this help me get where I want to go? Yes or no? Like Lisa turning to me and saying, you're far better at pursuing your goals than I am. Here's the thing that I want to do that feels emotionally correct. Should I pursue it? Yes or no? And I'll say literally 80% of the time, no. It's not going to be effective at moving you towards your goal. So if that's the question that you're asking, that won't work. Here's something that you might want to try. And so it's been this incredible exchange of talents between the two of us. So there you have it. I know people are really not going to enjoy that analogy, but I don't have a better one. Everybody, thank you guys. Always, it is so wonderful to see everybody join us today. Today was a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys being here and for being so active in the chat. And if you haven't already, everybody, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace. If you like this conversation, check out this episode to learn more. Trump has taken over DC, sort of. Trump and Putin are set to meet in Alaska to discuss Russia-Ukraine war. Andrew Cuomo fires shots at socialist New York mayoral candidate Mamdani. Elon and Sam Altman prove you can be wealthy